Hi everyone. Today are meeting Harjit. She is a spiritual teacher. She's a mentor for Kundalini yogis. And Harjit is a deep healer, I can say. She's helping people to heal their emotional and physical pain. Welcome, Harjit.
Thank you, Vita. Nice to be here.
Thank you for joining me today and for opening and wanting to share with everyone your experience with Akashic reading. Could you be able to add something more what you are doing? Because you do very interesting stuff, don't you?
What am I doing? Good question. I started as a reflexologist many years ago, but I also had a corporate job. So I was still working as well as doing reflexology. And then the reflexology took me into the yoga journey. And from the yoga journey came the healing modalities of Satnam Rasayan. So I'm a practitioner as well as, I still practice Satnam Rasayan. And then from the Satnam Rasayan, I wanted to do some more deep healing work. So I went along the shamanic route. So I did, I went around the wheel twice on the shamanic wheel, the Inca wheel. And then after that, I carried on. I've done a couple of retreats abroad with my yoga students. And I think there was a time where I had enough of the corporate and it was time for me to leave the job and make my little hobbies more of a business. So this month, 3 years ago, I actually packed up my corporate job and took on this role of being a CEO come business owner of my own business. But what I found was the first 6 months, because I'd been working for over 30 years in the corporate world, my whole body went into a stress, healing process of its own.
Yes.
And after that, I was still teaching, I was still doing the things I needed to do on the business side, but there was a lot of healing work going on from, the fatigue and things like that, the stresses that had been within the system. Once I got through that, I started working on looking at how I could do online with the yoga before even the pandemic started. So I was already working on courses, on working with coaches, doing different things, learning how to use Zoom, how to, do things like that.
Big challenge to everyone, isn't it?
Big challenge to everyone, yes. But, and then, when I hadn't even finished or completed the courses, we had COVID hit. So it's, COVID, I think, came on quite strongly, as in, all my classes stopped. None of my seniors wanted to come on to the Zoom classes because it didn't feel natural to them. I wasn't, so basically, the business went down.
Yeah.
So I started working with a coach, and I've been working, I did work with a writing coach. I worked with, so a lot, there was a lot of working behind the scenes going on. And even now I'm working with a coach who's trying to push me to, show myself.
Yes, because we are one of those, and you and me, that we have huge skills. We know a lot, but just to show up is a challenge for us. We are making baby steps at this moment.
Yes, I find, when you've always been in the background, having to come into the fore, be in the light, as you say, it's quite challenging.
Yeah,
because it's not a natural thing for for myself to do. So yeah, it's like even on the yoga, on the yoga teacher trainings, I was always sort of the cook in the kitchen, or somebody in the background helping out the other teacher trainer sort of thing. So yeah, it's an interesting journey now.
But not in front of audience, but you were helping one-to-one lots of yoga teachers.
Yes.
You were mentoring her, you were showing them the way of better work, of more spirituality. So you've done a very good job, actually, isn't it? Could you tell me, please, how it did happen that you had Akashic Record reading?
Very good question. I had heard about Akashic Records many years ago, but I had never thought of having a reading. And it was only this January, it was the second time that I had gone into surgery. The first surgery I had was 3 years ago, and it was to do with my womb and also menopause, that time of age, everything coming on. And I just felt that there was something that was holding me back, or that was trying to teach me something.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know the root cause. And I think that's why I approached the Akashic Records, because I wanted to know what was going on and how I could move forward, or what it was that I needed to clear. So it was a bit of curiosity, the cat has that curiosity. And I was very curious to learn what else is up there.
Good. That's good. And how did you find the reading for yourself? Was it useful or not? What was going there?
I found the reading very interesting, actually. Excuse me.
Sorry?
I found it interesting. My husband's in the kitchen, so he's making noise. So it was interesting because I wasn't expecting such an in-depth reading.
And how did you find the process generally? Was it pleasant? Was unpleasant? Have you been judged? How did you feel during the reading, during the session?
Found what I found really helpful was the fact that in your email you sent what sort of questions you can ask. I found that quite helpful, in the sense that I could sit down and think about what I wanted to ask, what I felt I needed to ask about, and where I was having the blocks. And after and during the reading, I did find a part of me was quite emotional, listening to what was coming through. Yeah, so it was like a realization of something that I had not really taken into account. Okay. How much I have moved forward from a very young age. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And did you find this any way of healing? Because I remember that we were there in the channeling, there was some healing according you and your mom. Did you find any difference after the process in your life? Did it help you somehow?
What I did do, because I was having problems with my womb, I felt there was some womb healing to do, not only just for myself, but for my daughter, and maybe whoever else is going to come into the generations forward as well as back. But what I was finding was that I didn't realize, I'd carried on thinking it was just something that I was carrying in my own body.
Yeah.
It was only until I, had the reading, I realized it was actually a generation 2 back.
Yeah.
That was causing it. And I actually followed your instructions Well,
not mine. I'm only the channel.
Well, yeah, the instructions that came through
they were leading us,
to do the generational healing with the grandmothers. And I actually spent one evening in ceremony with 14 candles. I thought I'd counted 14.
Beautiful.
And while I was doing doing the ceremony, I noticed actually, I was counting the candle. And I thought, hang on a minute, there's not 14, there's 13. So I lit another candle and put it in. But I found it really healing because I did it for 3 hours. So I spent 3 hours in that space, and that space. How can I explain it to you, Beta? There's a beautiful kite at this moment flying over as I'm talking to you.
Beautiful.
The space, it felt heavy, but at the same time, I felt held in that space. And there was this hazy energy in the room while I was sitting in that ceremony. And I played a lot of mantras. And I sang along, and I found it really healing. And I think that the couple of weeks after that, I had to listen to my body and honor it.
But do I remember well that after the reading you said that you had less pain in your body?
Yes. I found that the wound from the bleeding had lessened much than it was before. So it was like something had shifted. Yeah, definitely.
That's really, really good. I'm so glad that I could channel something like that. And yes, you had 2 sessions. So why one session wasn't enough for you? Why did you come back for the second session? Could you tell us?
I came back to the second session because I was blocked in my work. And I think the block in the work was also to do with my physical body. It wasn't flowing as it should have done. But yeah, so that was the reason I came back for the second one. It was more to understand what's going on business-wise in my life and why I wasn't moving forward.
Did your masters and teachers gave you any good, useful advice about expanding your work, helping others, showing up, giving more confidence, shining your light and beauty?
I think they were very blunt. I think the message was very blunt. It was like, why are you not showing up yet? Why haven't you, I've got a YouTube channel, but I keep it for private clients. Why aren't you, putting yourself out on YouTube? Why aren't you, showing up in on social media? So for me, it was, and this is there's always been this fear of social media and judgment and things like that. And I think one of the messages that came through was, no matter what you do, you will always be judged.
This is true.
Yeah.
Always.
And that was such a powerful message for me, because it's like, actually, you get judged even for doing something in your normal life.
Yes.
Yeah. Your everyday work, someone makes a judgment on what you're doing. So to actually do something for yourself as in a business and show up for it, I think it was a big knock-on effect for me to say, actually, you have to show up now regardless.
Did you get more confident after this reading? What do you want to do with? Did you get more confidence after this reading?
I think
what do you want to work?
What I got out of it was, I had a sense that I was on the right path, but I wanted to confirm. I wanted that confirmation that I wasn't going off the rails. And I think it was confirmed that I am on the right track. So it was nice to hear it, because I think we tend to stay too much in the head and not listen. You know, our ego gets in and tells us all the stories, and we tend to forget to listen to the heart and follow the path.
Yeah, I remember as well that there was one message, one of the many messages, that for you will be so powerful and you can bring lots of light to the people, to the ladies in days, let's say 40s, 50s, where children, they left the house, they feeling now like empty, and they don't know what to do with themselves.
Oh yes. I actually wrote a blog. My son moved out over a year ago, and I was feeling, you know what you get to. I mean, he's not the only child I have. I have 4 children, and when he left, it felt like the whole world had just collapsed. I helped him move, and I spent the day in tears without him knowing. But you know, it was, I think, as a mother, you feel like as your children leave the nest, you become more redundant. But then I think the other thing you don't realize, it's giving you space to do your own things, yeah, that you may have wanted to do earlier on in life. You can go back and start to do those. But it was an eye-opener for me, because in our culture, the children stay with you till they're ready to get married. They get married, and that's when they move. And he left before that, so it was like, but we're living in the West, and we have to also allow our children to grow.
Yes, exactly.
So, but yeah, that was one of the messages that came through.
And do you think that those ladies who feel lost, they don't know what to do with themselves, would be useful Akashic Record reading for them?
Oh, definitely. I think when you're in that position and you're not sure of where to go and how to access your next steps, it's a beautiful place to go, and it's very healing as well, because it helps you understand your whole potential as a being in this life.
Yes, I guess that, yes, exactly. And coming back, thank you so much. And coming back to your mentoring yoga teachers, we know that Kundalini is very spiritual, and you have so much knowledge about that. Do you remember at the beginning that you said that you would like to have a little bit break because it takes a lot to show outside? Yes, one-to-one fine, but to show outside. And you wanted a little bit have a break from the teaching. But how do you manage to do it now after Akashic Record reading? And as well, you've got some coach. Are you going to connect this and work with different ways with your skills?
I'm actually working on a program at the moment that will bring in the healing modalities as well as the yoga and the breath work. So the idea is to integrate everything together. So working with mother wounds, you could say.
That's beautiful.
Because I think we all have mother wounds, whether it's our own personal mother wound or whether it's through a loss of a child or a parent. It's a process, and this is what I feel I'm being called to do at the moment.
That's beautiful. I'm so glad that I could be on your path, your spiritual actually path, and be able to send you messages from your masters, because I know that you can connect by yourself very easily. But sometimes we need confirmation. Just ending.
I think that was an eye-opener, because I had always thought he was a little fuzzy. But yeah, the connection is always there. I think we all have the connection, but we lose the faith.
Yeah, but do you think that Akashic Record helped you to the reading, the healing which you went through? Because it wasn't only reading, you went through healing process as well. Yes. Did it help you to connect better with your spiritual guides?
I think when you sit in that space and you allow your guides to come through, or your angels, or whatever you want to call them, I think if you just allow and be, it can be quite a powerful thing to do. The Akashic Records, I would highly recommend anyone who's going through a process in themselves where they feel stuck, or they feel they don't know their next path, do have a reading, because it can open up many paths for you that you didn't realize that you had.
Thank you so much for sharing. And do I have your permission to use our recording in social medias?
Yes, of course you do, Vita.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are new rules, so we need to follow them. But thank you for sharing. I'm very grateful that you just openly want to say what you went through, because actually the first bit of the after surgery, it was quite difficult and emotional for you.
Yes.
So I'm very grateful. Thank you so much, and looking forward to join one of your classes.
Yes, look forward to having you in the sessions.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
Vita.